Hey, welcome back, everybody. Today, my guest is Dr. Maria Sampalis, who is an optometrist, a thought leader, a global speaker, and a writer. She does a lot of things, has an extensive resume. You may know her. Also, if you don't know her from her private practice in Rhode Island, you probably know her from the corporate optometry groups online that has been growing, and I'm sure we'll take a dive into hear some background about how that came to be as well. So, Maria, thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with me. This is great.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's always an honor to be on different podcasts and talking to different people. And it's nice to be able to help optometrists over the years with my perspective on business and industry.
Yeah, you bet. So, yeah, we didn't talk about this in the pre-chat, but I was looking over some of the articles and things that you had written before, and a wide array of things that we found in there talking about making your patient experiences memorable, emotional aspects of patient care, workplace dynamics. You just hit a lot of things. Where does this like passion, and in just the few minutes I talked to you before we started recording too, I was like, this woman's got like some real passion behind her and some real intention and like purpose. Where does all that come from? Kind of give us a little background into, what makes you keep pushing forward in this profession and where that passion comes from.
Yeah, so I mean, I love my job. I don't feel like really working in a sense. I see patients. I have a private practice. I have two Warby Parker subleases, and it's been very fortunate to be able to work in different settings and fortunate to work with Warby Parker as well. Very grateful for the opportunity over there as well. I see things differently compared to other optometrists. And again, this has been just such a great journey for me over the years. But, I love the business aspects of it, right? I love kind of, making a deal, negotiating, figuring stuff out, looking at business metrics in my practice. Can I beat last year? Can I support my staff? Can I give back to my staff who cares about my business? Who wants to be there? Who wants to see me succeed? I always say, I do well, you're going to do well, right? And it's a woman of my word. I don't, so I think that's been important too. And that's a factor. But I love writing about stuff that I experience in my practice to be able to write and give experience to other doctors. The stuff that's not written, right? Out there in general sometimes because some of the stuff's sponsored or whatever the case. So I've been writing. I was like, no, I want to write certain things. Sometimes I get that itch and I'll write it and push it out through my network and people will read it. And I think it's a different perspective. Some opinion pieces in the industry. It's kind of nice to see over the years. I've written about 300 articles on my website blogs. That's a lot. And then did some podcasts of my own and developed websites and then grown businesses so as well in optometry and expanded my practice. So it's been a great journey. I always tell people like, did you know that? I'm like, no, I didn't know this is gonna go this way. Again, it's passion and what drives you, right? You have to have something that drives you and to want to do it. And you don't do stuff like this for income. It's for whatever your goal is. And when I tell people that, they don't understand that. No one can do what you do for this long period of time, 10 years, if it's just about income.
Yeah, right, for sure. That's why, usually we talk about it and ask people about what's the bigger reason why you do what you do, or the mission you're looking to serve, or the change you want to make, whether it's in your own life, but typically it's in your community, for your industry, and potentially it's biggest for the world. Do you have any thoughts about that, about what drives you, or what's the bigger mission you're looking to serve?
Yeah. So for me, I mean, personally, having my own practice was always, I like to have the freedom.
Hmm.
It's freedom of coming and going as I please, doing what I want, right? Having my own business. I don't have to ask to take time off to have, when my kids were little, to have the kids at the office, have them in the optical, pick the days I want to work, go and make things like that. And then also serve, right? So the corporate optometry group was, there wasn't a voice at one point. Being able to have that voice for doctors, connect with doctors throughout the country from different brands and share ideas, best practices, frustrations, things like that has been very nice. The purpose to give these doctors a voice and, help these doctors with issues that have been going on for 20, 30 years, being able to work together to get things done in corporate optometry that might not have gotten done before because we have a large presence. I've always said it's never been about me. It's about the group. The group has come together many times on issues that they're not happy with. And a lot of corporations have changed things over the years because of the group. And they pay attention to it, which is nice to for that purpose, right? To be able
Yeah.
to help people to get better, right? And help doctors, business aspects to learn a lot. And I had doctors message me when we talk on the phone. A doctor trying to take a sublease over, asking questions and how to buy charts from this doctor and things like that. And it's great to be able to be like, what are you doing? Here's the public. What happens if this moves is what you do, right? Because doctors don't think business. And I like that, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's a lot to be able to help and get people. Because again, it's more what you help is what you do in the profession, and what you give back. I've been very successful, so it's nice to be able to give back. And I've been, because of that as well, been honored to be on different boards and in optometry and help move the profession forward. There's a lot of doctors that I'm not taking credit. I mean, but to be able to be there to voice some of my ideas has been great for me, but also help. And then, being involved globally, like World Council, to be able to help. I'm not going to benefit from it, help optometry expand scope, different countries. But I think that's what we do as we start to, I've been 20 years as we give into our career. I mean, what else can we do to make it better, right? For our patients too, like what can I do for patients that can't afford certain things? Like, can I be an advocate for them? Can I give them products that they can't, and then, what can I do later on in my career? And I have different aspirations and goals. And again, it's bigger purpose, helping, goal setting, helping elevate other people. I think that's been a great thing because when I first started, there was none of that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. There's a couple of things you had said in there really caught my ear. And one of them is like when we start working with a new optometry client as well, and even in some other industries, but especially with optometrists, I mean, one of the top things that they always like, usually within the first few conversations, it always is, we were never taught any of this business stuff. Like, they're independent practice owners now. They have similar like aspirations, right? Increase and like control the level of care they're bringing, also set their own schedule, all the things that you expect them to say, but it's like we're not taught how to run our own business. And I don't think any of us, unless you're like, I don't even know if, unless you get into some very specific schools, if the entrepreneurial tracks in school are really teaching you how to do it, right? Where did this kind of passion for the business side of things come from you? Because you seem like that's been something that you've had your hands around for quite a while.
So I like it, right? So when I was in optometry school, study clinic, pass, you do all the clinical stuff. I was like, well, I'm going to have my own practice. This is what I want, right? So I have to know everything because I'm going to have my own practice and I got to take care of these patients. But that's not what happened. I mean, now being out 20 years, I mean, there's certain, you can refer and work, collaborate with other doctors. But we had one practice management course. And I was so excited for it. But again, it was third year. We were taking ocular disease and things like that. But it was over the years, experience and learning, right? And I've gotten so much experience from business, from corporate optometry, working at, first started at LensCrafters, then had a Sears sublease, learned so much, and then had a 4-eye. Now at Warby, like I'll go out in the optical and just when it's not busy and watch. How do they sell? How do they get patients? Why do you come here? How are you buying multiple pairs? What is the case? And I find that, you learn a lot. I still learn a lot. And then what's in that case and be able to negotiate, know what's going on, being in the thing, like use your reps to your advantage in the area to know what's kind of going on, practices for sale, who's hiring, things like that. I think that, and then I would read books on it. I would watch YouTube videos. I still watch things that, and then what can I do to make better? I know my business analytics. I know what is out there for metrics and how do I compare to other doctors? And it's okay if you're not, but what is the reason? And why is your net higher than others? Or what is the case? I compare, I know each month what is I'm supposed to make in each practice. Why did I not make it? And what is the case? And it goes up and down. And then, how can we make the next year better? And sometimes it's not investing in just investing in your staff. Sometimes just giving a small raise makes a big difference as well as they work harder. But what else can you do better from last year and not be comfortable? Because once you get comfortable, that's when you're done.
Yeah, that's very true. Uh, so I'll agree with that. What are some of the you mentioned earlier, the power of the corporate optometry group and, giving optometrists more of a platform and a stronger voice because you have some unity there. You shared with me before, and well, and you can see it if you go online, 30 some thousand members in the Facebook group, over 20,000, I think you mentioned on LinkedIn. What are some of the toughest challenges that related to the industry that you guys are working through right now? 'Cause you said some of them are 20, 30 years old.
Yeah, I mean, there's issues like vision plan reimbursements, staffing hours, some businesses, some opticals require unnecessary hours for the amount of patients that you see. And the young doctors don't know, some misconceptions like you add more hours, you're going to see more patients. I mean, there's only certain what's going to be there. And sometimes some doctors need multiple subleases to be able to do that. New subleases, sometimes you need to have a separate income to do that. There needs to be a little more support there. Some doctors don't know. Some will provide more equipment, more support than other brands. And the other thing that doctors, we learn that there is a shortage of doctors throughout the country. Use that to your advantage when negotiating lease hours or going on that vacation, things like that. But it's a great opportunity. I tell doctors, if you want to have your own business, this is the easiest way to do it. Learn from it. And then you see if this is the right fit for you, right company for you, if you can expand. And then the opportunity, the earning potential is tremendous. As hard as you work is what you get. And I've worked super hard over the last 20 years. Worked 6 days a week the last 20 years. I mean,
Wow.
saw a lot of patients, but, saw that an opportunity and saved and been able to invest back into practices to be where I am today. Didn't get comfortable, and kind of use that. But doctors as well can see if they wanted to expand into the other specialties within the setting too. That's come up too, and then how to handle conflict with managers, staff, things like that. And it's nice to be able to come forward to explain their experience with different companies because all they got to do is when I talk to them is you got to fix it. There's nothing I can do if the doctors aren't happy. They can fix it. You have to fix it. And that's your job to fix it as a company. What is your proposition to want these doctors to come work with you? There's so many different companies now.
So either in your own career, in your private practice, maybe it's something in the corporate optometry group, is there like a certain either like victory or success or major challenge that you've overcome that's been really meaningful or more meaningful to you that kind of stands out to you, or
I
the
think a
person
couple
you're
of
working
years ago, certain corporations wanted to, transfer some subleases over to employed. There was some uprise on that where they kind of stopped that. There was some terminations at one point that were recurrent over the years, and those have stopped as well. Another one was kind of keep up employees from employed to 1099 doctors, and doctors kind of fought on that and change that in the industry. I mean, the Facebook groups have been a great voice and have been a good way to, give their opinions on it. And I've been able to help support that as well, trying to take a stance and help the doctors. The group's always been about the doctors and the best that I could do as the admin to be authentic, transparent, provide good information and support them as well and use some of my, network to be able to help them with these issues too, as I, work with other industry partners too. So being able to have those relationships and be able to help these doctors too, which has been great to be able to do that. We had some doctors that were terminated and they had 30 days to move out, and we've able to help doctors open a practice in 30 days because of network connection and things like that. So for me, it's great to be able to help and do that when these have these unforeseen issues.
Yeah, for sure. No, and then this all sounds fascinating. I'm telling you that you can, just through the power of this community and this group, and with you at the helm, and like just bringing them all together, and the type of power that can bring, like all those.
Yes, it's a big responsibility to the Facebook group. It does have a lot of power in the industry, a lot of influence, but it is a
Mhm.
huge responsibility with that. And again, I don't try
Yeah.
to take it lightly, but the power is for the group, the members. And if we need to voice our opinion, we're happy to do that. I'm happy to back up these doctors.
So that's great. What is whether it's in the corporate world or our show is typically geared more towards independent optometrists. And what is a piece of advice? I know you probably have a lot, but what's your best piece of advice you give to somebody else who is on their journey, in kind of the growth phase of their own practice?
Yeah, I mean, don't get comfortable. Some doctors just get comfortable and think that, this is it. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts in the industry, a lot of things that are going to change in the next 10 years. I started to get into a dry eye center of Rhode Island in my practice 4 years ago. I've grown it, have an IPL, have radio frequency, have paid it off, been able to expand, have multiple practices, been able to do very well, and know that there's still opportunity to grow. You don't really stop until you're ready to sell your practice, is how I see it, or find an associate. Sometimes it's kind of just going through the motions, and I get it. There's life that gets in the way, and I have two small kids and been able to do that too and balance it. But I think the comfort level is what it is. And if you continue to do what you do best to take care of your patients and then also, take care of your staff, I think things will be better in the practices. But we have a lot of different factors in our industry now than there were 10 years ago. PE buying practices, online realtors, some misinformation about what we do to our patients, things like that. But so not staying comfortable has been the big thing. Just continue to try to grow. And what can you do differently to expand your practice than anybody else? And just because everybody's doing this one thing doesn't necessarily mean you need to do it. I've done it very differently in my practices, and done very well. And it's just me taking the chance on myself and being confident on what I think it's going to be. I took the chance developing this dry eye center, took a chance on paying for these devices, and have done very well.
Talk about that real quick, because when we keep talking about, and I've heard you mention it a few times, but I think it's great, is not getting comfortable, not staying comfortable. And I think a lot of times it's uncomfortable to keep pushing the envelope and keep growing. And because you can look at it, some people do, they look at it the other way and think, well, what I'm doing right now in my current state is working, and I'll just keep doing this and not really evolve or change. But I mean, the things you're talking about, which are, again, really simple for us to chat about, but when you're in the moment, like, take us back to like the day that you decided you're going to make a go of this dry eye center, right? Because I mean, that's still happening with a lot of independents, is, considering whether to delve into this or not. It's risky. There's a chance that it might not work out, and the equipment's expensive. So, I mean, like, there's all those things that kind of creep in, right? So there's a element of being comfortable with that uncomfortableness, if you will,
Yeah.
that we need to be able to embrace. Can you
Well,
speak to that?
sure. Let me back up with, 10, 15 years, Nobody wanted the Sears optical sublease. I wanted to have my own business. They said it was going out of business. I was pregnant. I took it. I said, I'm just, I'm going to do it. And it did very well for the time that I was there, 5 years. They closed. Okay. I was uncomfortable. They closed. I needed to open a new business. I opened a new business in 30 days down the street, move the patients, and then uncomfortable there, and then grew that. Then this opportunity came up to buy this practice, and it was during COVID, again, uncomfortable time. And he wanted out. The doctor wanted out. And it was a no-brainer, right? Everyone else, some other people didn't want it. They didn't want to take the risk per se. It wasn't, but it was a amazing price. I ended up also taking a risk, buying the building, but the building needed remodeling, and so it's just something new. What can you do? What's the next step? And confident myself. Can I do this? I can do this. If it doesn't, what's stand B? What happens? What's the worst case scenario? But over the years, yeah, you get more confident by having these little small wins that you get. And yeah, I've embarrassed myself and failed multiple times. So I just can't get any worse than the last time, right? And then what else is the next thing? And sometimes you max out. And what's the next step? Okay, multiple practices. I've been fortunate to, have subleases at Warby. When Warby opened in Rhode Island, they were new. That was a small risk per se. I mean, they're not huge risks in corporate optometry. I thought that was a lot easier than when Four Eyes opened me a location, because Four Eyes had no patients in Rhode Island, but they had some help support, which was great. but then they closed, and then during COVID, as well after, and
Yeah.
then this came about. So again, there was downs and then there's ups, and then expanded this. And there's so many, and then the Warby was great because they had an online presence. So patients, they had Target where they say, hey, go to this location where they had those. So it wasn't like, and it was a great thing to learn and see that, because that's probably the next generation of patients, right? Where we're going to see, and then said, okay, what else could I do to expand this practice that I bought that the doctor didn't do? And dry eye, knew there was no dry eye centers in Rhode Island. Nobody wanted to do it. I have an interest in it, and find that patients come to me now, and we're able to make a big difference in these patients' lives. I mean, the technology is amazing, and continue to invest. But it was an investment, but it was a calculated investment. It took a couple of years to grow to get there. So it wasn't that. But again, when I took over the practice, I had to remodel the building. He had no equipment. I had to gut the whole thing, all new equipment, do that. And it's grown. And now it's kind of, again, cruise control mode, but, have some other things that are coming out, an opportunity that other doctors have overlooked. I think I can see certain opportunities and things that others can't. And I always tell doctors when I talk to them, you don't need the $1 million practice. You don't need that. You don't need that. You can find a nice practice that grosses much less, you net more money, and can do very well in a practice. And so sometimes you have to question what information is out there. You don't have to be there 5, 6 days a week. There's a lot of things that you can do that I did a little differently, just kind of taking my own approach on it. So, again, it's just the small wins and being okay with failure. There's so much failure at the beginning, but I have them written down over the years and I look at it.
Yeah.
So kind of gives you a little more confidence. Yeah. And so the determination's there to, if I want to do it. And it's nice I look back and I'm like, well, it's nice that not to have someone give you that support, because you're like, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it myself. And I think that's the best thing. And so over the speed bumps, over the years, that the bumps that have been there, or the naysayers, thank you so much. And this is what drove me.
Oh, for sure. No, that's great. I love that you have them all like listed and written down, and like you look back, because I can just imagine like when you're going to take like the next. I don't know if there's ever like just in this little bit. This is the first time we've ever talked. It's hard to imagine because you just come off with like you exude confidence and like I don't know if there's ever a time where you're like looking at something and doubting yourself or doubting the decision you're about to make. But if there is, that would be a great thing. I can just imagine looking back at that list and being like, well, I've been through, these failures and I came out okay. I think that's a really important thing to highlight, that when people, you, me, anybody else with a successful career will talk about themselves, we always get the highlights, and I think it's easy for some people out there to forget that there are plenty of failures along the way,
Of
and
course.
still could happen to this day, right?
Oh, yeah.
Something is going to go wrong, something's going to completely fail. What did you learn from it? What skills did you acquire as a result of it? And how can you push that forward into the next thing to make that one even better, right? And I think that's what I'm hearing you say left and right this whole time.
Yeah, it's confidence. And then I always say, like, in our industry, for like industry doctors reach out, want to do some KOL stuff. And I'd say, well, you've been doing this for a while and you've been working with this person. How come they never introduced you? Or I don't know. I said, well, I'll introduce you. You want to speak at this conference? I know some, I don't have, you can, no problem. You can, I'm confident in myself that if you're better than me for doing something, like, that's fine. I just need to work a little harder. I don't need to push people down to bring myself up. I mean, I've done very well, and what I want to accomplish, I've done, and whatever my next step and my next chapter is doesn't need to be that. And being able to help other people get there has been rewarding to me. But I've had tried people to try to compete, whether it's in industry or in my practice or certain things, and I say, well, just bring it. You can't outwork me. So I have a certain work ethic and what I think of it. But if you work hard and you prepare and you do that, you're prepared for it. I mean, and if you take the shot, and if you miss it, it's fine. But you got to have a game plan and what the next step is. And I have goals that are, 1 week goals, 1 year, 5 years, 20 years. What is it going to be? And that's how I started when I first started out. What did I want to do? And I mapped it out when I was at Sears. It was slow. We were seeing like 3 patients a day. I was by myself and I was like, what are my goals? What do I want to do? And then write
Yeah.
them down. I'm going to do this. Okay. I can't do this right now. I'm pregnant. I'm going to give birth in May. And what's the next step? Once I give birth, what are we doing? What's the next step? And I think you plan that out. And yeah, some things work out and some things don't. And it's okay. Some are a little later, but I look back, a lot of things that I wanted I had to do it the hard way, unfortunately, work harder or do the extra steps, or some others got a little easier. And I was a little frustrated with that at first. But you know what? Now, just looking at that, the ones that got it easier didn't appreciate it, didn't work any harder for it, and they're not in the same position. So for me, I've been very fortunate to have that. So for me, because it was hard, I do appreciate it now more. And that's why I feel like it's good to be able to help support others as well and elevate other people as well in our industry.
Amazing. Yeah, so true about a lot of things in life, right? Like if you don't work for it and you just get things easier, then you're not going to appreciate it as much and what it took to get there and what it takes to mind and maintain that when
Yeah.
you're already there, right? It's a
Yeah.
whole
And when you're
different
there,
mindset and attitude.
yeah. And when you're there, you're like, I'm not going back. So I'm still going to work for it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going back to 15, 20 years ago.
Maria, this has been really insightful and really just fun. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to us. Thank you so much, and hopefully our paths will cross again here in the near future.
Thank you so much for having me on the podcast and let me share my story.